35 days, 20 hours, 27 minutes till we kick off, baby.
There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going running all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game.
Whew, I can't get here soon enough.
Hello and welcome to this episode of War Eagle Weekly. How are we doing tonight, Josh?
As you can tell, I'm a little impatient.
Aren't we all, man? We can't not wait to get this thing going, even if it is against Alabama A&M to begin the season. But that's what this episode is all about. We're starting our series of previewing every game this season. We're going to do 2 games a week. I think there might be 1 week where we have to fit in 3, but right now we're doing 2 games a week. We're going to be talking about the upcoming games, and then by the end of this, we're going to give our official record for the Auburn 2024 season. So let's go ahead, jump right into this, Joshua. Game numero uno is going to be the Alabama A&M Bulldogs.
How many Bulldog teams are there in NCAA? Oh my gosh.
There are so many. And not only that, but I was looking at our opponents this year. It seems like every single one of them, red is one of their primary colors. So this is going to be the bloodbath season because that's what everyone is going to have to be dealing with. It is just going to be a bloodbath when Auburn is done with them.
You sound pretty optimistic, more optimistic than you did earlier this year.
Yeah, I've been working on that statement for a while, trying to come up with something real catchy. So you kind of just called me out on it, Josh.
Finally found your moment.
I'm still not as confident as you are in the season, but that's what we're good for. We balance each other out, right?
Yeah, that's true. It's the good cop, bad cop every year.
Yeah, exactly. So Alabama A&M, not too impressive. 5-6 last year, 3-5 in conference. Right there, stats on the screen: points per game, 29.3, third down conversion, 40.67, which I guess is okay. Yards per game, 374. Their opponents per game, points per game, 27.3 and 346 yards. Their head coach is one of the more successful head coaches Alabama and A&M have ever had, even though he's got just a 29-20 record. He is just done a great job for Alabama A&M and their ability to bring in enough talent to play. Although the record was a losing record last year, he has done a really good job with this school. I'm not too worried about Alabama A&M. What about you, Josh?
No, I'm really not. I mean, their most impressive win of the season last year was their homecoming game against Tuskegee, where they won 58-3. Other than that, it was just, I mean, they got 13 points on Vandy, but if they can only get 13 points on Vandy, they'll probably get maybe half a point against Auburn. I don't know how that would even happen, but I would be surprised if they even got any points on the board against Auburn, even against the fours.
But let's be honest. Traditionally, Auburn has had a track record of letting that small team that we're supposed to kill in week 1 hang around until the third quarter, and then we start pulling away, and they score between 14 and 17 points. So, the pessimist in me, you said it, I'm feeling more optimistic, but really I'm not. The pessimist in me is like, this is just going to be the same. We don't know what we got on offense. It's going to be us trying to figure it out. Maybe our defense is going to hold them and be okay in the first half, especially considering the fact that they're replacing their starting quarterback, and Xavier Langford is going to be their starter. He appeared in 8 games last year, but all of them as released. He never started in any of the games, and he's really not that impressive statistically speaking. He's a little bit of a mobile quarterback, especially around the goal line, but outside of that, I really don't know what we're going to get out of that. But the thing is I just don't know what to think. I'm just, first game of the season, I need to see it to believe it, and especially I need to see Auburn breaking that trend that they have had in the past.
I think we're going to. Got a lot more talent on the team this year than we did last year. I don't think Auburn's going to have any difficulty getting out ahead and staying way ahead in this game. I just don't see any conflict.
And hopefully that's the case. And hopefully we don't see too much of this guy, Donovan Eglin, who is, I believe, in the research for this, he was nominated a preseason to the preseason all conference team, as well as Alabama A&M's returning wide receiver. So, this is a guy that we do need to watch out for. He's not going to be a guy that is, the running back basically the running back position at all levels of college football. You're going to see talent. And so this is where we could see some issues, especially if it takes a little while for our defensive line to get going, because again, we really don't know what we have there. We don't have too many returning starters.
If you're concerned about that, I would urge you to go back and watch the A-Day game. I mean, Auburn's running back room is arguably the best room on the Auburn roster. And Auburn's running backs had the hardest time doing anything on the ground against the starting defense when they're on the field during the A-Day game. The Auburn rush defense played extremely well and held one of the best backs in the SEC, maybe in the country, to very low yardage and very little production whatsoever. I don't think this guy, Donovan Eglin, whatever his name is going to get over 50 yards. I just don't.
And hey, I hope so. I hope that that's the case, but you never really can tell. I will say, though, they are returning all three of their leading rushers. And so their rushing game is what's going to be the issue. So the goal needs to be, obviously, I'm stating the obvious here. We need to get out ahead of them and get them away from what they do comfortably, which is running the ball. And we need to get it into their unproven quarterback's hands and get it into, them passing to their receivers. Because although Jacoby Hewitt is their returning leading receiver, it was essentially, and I'm sorry for being self-deprecating and making fun of Auburn, but this is possibly one of the better years that an Auburn receiver. Oh, wait, sorry. Again, talking about Alabama A&M and their passing attack. This seems like a stat line from an Auburn wide receiver, a starting Auburn wide receiver. Let's be honest. Honest.
Unfortunately.
Okay? But this guy, too, is also nominated to the preseason all-conference team. And so, again, they have talent within their conference. And so, these smaller schools have a history of playing really well, especially if they can get the passing game going. Hopefully they can, because that has always seemed to be the thing that really screws Auburn up, is these receivers that have no business getting open, being able to get open on a 3-yard slant and then running for 15 yards.
Yeah, that's when it comes down to tackling. That's when it comes down to tackling, and everyone just wanting to do arm tackling instead of frigging, whole body tackling. And that's the part that's going to just fire up any defensive coordinator, any fan. You don't want your players to go after nothing but the highlight tackles. You want your players to make the form tackles that's going to stop yardage. I don't care about the big hits. I don't really care about hitting somebody to make them fumble. I want that player that's carrying the ball to be on the ground, not gaining yards.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. You hit the nail on the nail on the head. It's about the basics, especially these first couple of games. It's about the basics and doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah, if we get a turnover, awesome. Yeah, but wrap up, make the tackle. Let's get into the rhythm.
Friggin' through.
Yep, let's get into the rhythm of playing against someone other than our own teammates. So I could not agree more, Josh. The next on the list, again.
Hold on, do you have a score prediction for Alabama A&M?
Let's go back. Sorry, let's go back. Score prediction. Oof. Do you have a score prediction?
I'm gonna say high 50s to 3.
Whoa. Okay. And
high 50s to 3.
Do you think we see nothing but Peyton Thorne until the fourth quarter, or do you think they're
I think
halftime.
Auburn offense hits their stride. Yeah, I think the Auburn offense hits their stride in the first half. We might see Peyton Thorne for a couple series in the third quarter. After that, we're going to see the 2s and 3s come on the field.
Wow. Okay. I'm thinking 32-10.
That is very depressing. Very depressing that you think so little of your favorite sports team, Cameron. You sound like a Patriots fan.
Well, I am a Patriots fan, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, dude, history, until they prove me wrong, I got to look at history. And as an Auburn fan, you cannot tell me that it always seems like we share storylines from season to season, and this one has been one that has followed us for forever, is letting these smaller schools hang around and not blowing them out like we really should. Yes, 32 or 32 to 10 or 12 is a respectable margin of victory. We are blowing them out, but it's not what you would expect from the national perspective, and unfortunately I just got to see it.
Well, Cameron, I mean, how many molds has Auburn broken this past year when it comes to all things regarding Auburn football? Why wouldn't this be one of the molds they break?
Yeah, and I hope they do. I hope they do. But I got to see it to believe it. But I'm going to go ahead and say first week, it's a little slow getting the offense going, and defense is really what carries us until we get towards the fourth quarter when our second string gets in and have just beaten them to a pulp. So I actually only think that our starting offense is going to score less than 20 points, probably 14 to 17.
By the third quarter?
By the start of the fourth quarter.
Okay, so if that's the case, there's zero chance the 2s get put on the field. Zero chance. Those starters are staying on the field until they're bleeding.
That may be the case. Unless we're up, and beating them by, they only have 3 points, and then we let a late touchdown or something. I don't know. So I just got to see it, man. I got to see it. I know. Hey, tell us in the comments below. Tell us who is the more realistic person here. I want to know. And don't worry, if you want to attack me and you think I'm being too critical of the team, do it, because I'll take it. Because most of the time I usually am. Let's be honest, Josh.
Way too critical. Always. So cynical.
Moving right along. Game number 2, we had the California Golden Bears, the Atlantic Coastal Conference, California Golden Bears. I'm not sure when it happened, but weird. California broke away from the West Coast and has since transplanted itself onto the East Coast, and we get to see California.
Thing. It's so weird.
The statistically speaking, or I heard of statistics about California's travel this season. It matches the circumference of the earth because they're going back and forth between the two sides of the country this year.
Good. That's what they get for last year, scheduling a game for so damn late. That's what they get.
Yeah. I wanted this game to be like a 7 a.m. game for us, and their players just sleepwalking through it all. Yeah, our players are tired at 7 a.m. in the morning, but their players are just like, we just went to bed 30 minutes ago, and now we're playing. That's what I want. The Bears were 6-7 last year, 4-5 in conference. They got their ass beat by us. Not really. It wasn't an ass beating, but we did learn that our 2 best players on offense and defense. I'm sorry. One of our best offensive players, Rivaldo Fairweather, making play after play after play when Jarquez Hunter wasn't in the thick of things, and Amari was giving up the ball, had a fumble in this game, but Eugene Asante running around like a chicken with his head cut off and making tackles left and right against Sam Jackson, quarterback for the Golden Bears, who is now with Auburn.
Yeah, go figure.
Hey, the Cal Bears put up quite a few points last year, over 30 points a game. Had a terrible third down conversion, and that's probably the problem right there, why they won so few games. Almost 400 yards a game of offense per game. They are bringing in a new offensive coordinator, so we'll see how it translates. And then they allow 414 yards per game to the opposing offense. Their head
You don't
coach
win
is
games
just,
when you allow more yards than you gain.
Mhm.
You just don't.
Yep. No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Their head coach is Justin Wilcox, who is 36-43 over the course of his career there at Cal. So Cal brings back a familiar face. This guy played a little bit, I believe, in the game with us. Cal played 3 quarterbacks last year. Like they have significant stacks. Oh my gosh, snaps at each of the quarterbacks that they had, including Sam Jackson, who is now with Auburn as a wide receiver. They really started to play really well when this kid got the starting gig after week 5, completing almost 63% of his passes, 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. You got to believe second year being the proposed starter, he's probably going to have a better year, maybe.
I mean, you would hope so, but I wouldn't really expect it. I mean, he would have to. I think he's going to receive a lot more help from Jaden Ott this year than he did last year. Auburn kind of shut down Ott last year. They're probably going to be
in the Auburn game.
Yeah, they really did, and I think that they're going to compensate for that, and they're going to game plan around Jaden Ott because he really is one of the better returning running backs in the entire country. He is really a really good running back, but Auburn just wasn't having anything from him last year. Luckily, he recovered from the injury he suffered against Auburn, but I mean, unless they fix whatever went wrong last year, I don't really think they're going to. I really don't think they're going to have any more success against Auburn than they did last year. Hopefully, it's not the same kind of slugfest and feel like you're punching in a dream type football game that it was last year. But I really don't expect too much more from Cal, especially since they're replacing their offensive coordinator and installing an entirely new system.
And not just that, but as you pointed out, and I do have it highlighted here on the screen that he couldn't back up his trash talk, talking about how Auburn is just a name. And Eugene Asante was not having any of that. The revitalized Eugene Asante, the revelation that was Eugene last year. He had his coming out party against Jaden Ott and the Cal Bears. But you hit again. You brought up a great point. Jaden Ott is one of the best running backs in the country. I would say he's one of the top 5 running backs in the country, to be perfectly honest.
He's really good.
He really is good. And I would imagine that he has a lot to prove because of him getting eliminated in last year's game. And so I would not expect a similar outcome. I would imagine he is going to do everything he can to make sure he stays on the field. And he is going to have to be the number 1 person that we shut down in this game.
Yep.
Because if he gets going, it could be a very long day. But as you pointed out, they're replacing their offensive coordinator and their leading receivers, their 2 top receivers. I'm sorry, 3 of their top 5 receivers are gone. 2 of them transferred out. Okay, he transferred to Washington. And we're left with this joker, Trond Grizzle, which kudos on the name, dude. And what kind of parent names their son Tron?
Hell if I know. They're probably stoned in the 70s. I don't know. That's just crazy. Trond.
But once again, he has a very Auburn-esque stat line with 590 yards, 5 touchdowns, 39.
Dude, you gotta stop. We're gonna fight if you keep this up. We're gonna fist fight.
Again, prove it, man. I want. Hey, show this clip to the Auburn wide receivers. Okay, put my name or put my face on anything you need to hate me, to just show me up. I welcome it. I welcome it.
You just gotta stop, bro. You're bumming me out. Like you're speaking church, but damn, you're bumming me out.
According to according to the media there for the Cal Bears, they expect good things from Grizzle. He had a good introduction to the team and really started to come on late there for them at the end, towards the end of the season. And so, but they're not returning a lot of production at wide receiver. They have 3 receivers that transferred in, so maybe we see something from that. But you got to think again, shut down the run, and we're not going to have a problem with them. However, their defense is one thing that we do need to keep an eye on. They actually shared the lead with FBS at 28 takeaways. How you lead the nation in takeaways and your team sucks that bad and your defense gives up so many yards and points, I don't know. I don't understand this anomaly, but you got to think that it's going to be better, although they did lose their leading tackler who transferred, and then their second leading tackler graduated. But they have a rising sophomore linebacker who had a really good year last year. Their defensive back player, their leader on the defense, is coming back this year. So you would think that they, again, should hold their own defensively. And if Auburn didn't get right in that first game and get into a really big groove, this Cal defense could cause Auburn some problems.
I mean, like you said,
we gave them 2 of the takeaways last year.
I understand that, but still, you're losing both your top tacklers, and you still allowed more yards than you let your the offense gained, and you're allowing almost 33 points a game. You're not going to win a whole lot of games that way. And I don't think they replaced their defensive coordinator either. Just because you lead the league in turnovers doesn't mean your offense is doing anything with those turnovers.
That's because, I mean, again, they really weren't.
No, they really weren't. So, I mean, what do you got as prediction wise for this game, Cameron?
Okay, so I think we struggle a little bit in week 1 on offense, and we really get a focused week 2, and everyone wanting to really show Cal Bears what it means to play against Auburn. And so I think with everything from last year and the fact that they struggled a little bit in week 1, I am predicting a 34-17 win.
You know, I'm right there with you. I'm at a 30-17 win prediction. So I think Auburn's defense plays better than they did last year, even though they played friggin' lights out last year in that game. And I definitely expect our offense to be clicking and on the same page against Cal. I don't think we come from this game unscathed in terms of turnovers. I believe we probably give up 1 or 2, but I also think we take away 1 or 2. Probably saving a comeback in the late third quarter from Cal and winning the game 30-17.
Yeah, and although it's a similar point wise to my first game prediction, I think it means a lot more when you're doing it against Cal than it does against Alabama A&M, and I think it looks better. Again, those smaller schools, you tend to, towards the end of the fourth quarter, you really have worn them down a lot, and you start seeing some garbage stuff. Whereas with this, I think it's going to be a solid, good-looking 34 points, personally. So, okay. So we both have Auburn starting 2-0.
Yep.
Surprises here. Everybody seems to have Auburn starting 2-0. So, all in all, good start to the season. Hopefully, we really continue to progress and we have the offense humming along after this game. But any closing remarks on these games, Josh?
The only thing I got to say is War Damn Eagle.
War Damn Eagle. And on that bombshell, War Eagle to you, Josh.
War Eagle, man.